Welcome to The Explainer. So imagine having an AI study buddy. Sounds pretty great for students, right? Well, a really fascinating new study just uncovered a hidden trap. A paradox, really. It turns out that getting a better grade on your homework with AI could actually set you up to fail the final exam.
This single line from the research paper, it just nails the whole problem. AI can make us look way better in the short term, but what's the hidden price we pay when it comes to our own skills? That's exactly what these researchers wanted to find out.
So let's dive right into the experiment. This first part is all about the promise of AI in the classroom, and it sets up this classic conflict between just performing well and actually learning something. Okay, so here's the setup. Researchers in Turkey got together almost 1,000 high school math students for this massive experiment. They split them into 3 groups. You had your control group. They were old school, just textbooks, no AI. Then you had Group 2, who got what the study calls GPT-based. You can just think of this as your standard ChatGPT, the kind that just gives you the answer. And finally, Group 3 got something special, a GPT Tutor, which was an AI specifically built to guide students, not just hand them the solution.
Now check this out. During the practice problems, when the AI was turned on, the results were just explosive. The group with the basic AI, they did almost 50% better than the students who didn't have any AI. And the group with that special tutor AI, whoa, their performance just shot up by 127%. Looking at this, you'd think, case closed, AI in schools is a home run. But this is where the story takes a turn.
So yeah, getting your homework done faster is one thing, but the real question, the one these researchers were obsessed with, was which of these students were actually learning?
And here it is. This is the moment of truth. After all that practice, the AI gets switched off. It's just a student and the test. So how did they do when they had to rely on what was actually in their own head? This is the bombshell. The students who used that basic ChatGPT-style AI, they didn't just stumble. They performed a full 17% worse on the final exam than the students who never had AI in the first place. Just let that sink in for a second. Using the tool actually made them worse at the task.
And when you look at the data side by side, it is just undeniable. The standard GPT base created a real significant learning gap. But what about the GPT tutor group? Their final exam scores were basically identical to the group that never used AI. It didn't hurt them. And this proves, without a doubt, that the design of the AI is absolutely everything.
So, what gives? Why was there such a huge difference between these two AIs? Well, it all comes down to a simple idea. Was the AI built to be a crutch, or was it built to be a coach? You can really think of this as a battle between 2 different philosophies. The basic AI, the crutch, was quick to just give the answer away. It let students completely bypass the struggle of figuring it out themselves. But the GPT tutor was designed to be a coach. It was actually programmed to give out little hints, one by one, to nudge students in the right direction without ever just handing over the final solution.
And when researchers looked at how students actually used that basic AI, well, they saw a very simple, very predictable pattern. The most common thing they typed was some version of this.
The difference in how kids engaged with the 2 bots was just staggering. The researchers looked for what they called non-superficial conversations. Basically, times when a student was genuinely trying to solve the problem, not just get the answer. And as you can see, almost all of that real, meaningful interaction happened with the coach AI. With the crutch AI, there was almost no real effort at all.
So the conclusion here was just impossible to ignore. That giant boost in homework performance we saw earlier, it wasn't because students were learning more. It was an illusion, created by a tool that simply helped them copy-paste their way to a good grade.
Okay, but hold on a second. You might be thinking, couldn't there be another reason? We all know these AI models make mistakes. So what if the basic AI was just feeding students a bunch of wrong information, and that's what messed them up on the test? And that's a fair question. The researchers checked, and yeah, the basic AI was pretty unreliable. It was basically a coin toss whether it would give a correct answer. It made logical errors in its reasoning about 42% of the time, and simple math mistakes another 8% of the time.
But here's the wild part. The analysis showed that all those mistakes the AI was making, they had no significant impact on the students' final exam scores. And why is that? Well, the theory is that the students using the basic AI were just copying the answer. They weren't even paying close enough attention to the AI's logic to be tricked by its mistakes. All right, let's bring this all home. Section 4, learning to use our tools. What does all this mean to us for the future of how we work and learn?
So pulling this all together, this study gives us some really critical lessons. First, just giving someone an answer bot can be worse than no help at all. It can actually hurt them in the long run. Second, doing great on your homework when you have a powerful tool, well, that doesn't mean you've actually learned the skill. And maybe the most important takeaway, the design of our AI tools is what matters most. We have to be intentional about building AIs that act as a coach, not just a crutch.
And this is really what makes generative AI so different from, say, a calculator. A calculator is reliable. A search engine points you to sources you can check. But as the researchers point out, models like ChatGPT are this unique mix of being incredibly capable and at the same time super unreliable. That combination changes everything. And that really leaves us with a huge question. And not just for the classroom, but for all of us. As these powerful tools become a bigger part of our jobs and our daily lives, are we actually learning to use them to get better, to get smarter? Or are we just learning to lean on them? This study suggests the answer to that question isn't up to the AI. It's up to us.